Hey, this is J.R. St. Julien with the St. Julien Real Estate Group of EXP Realty, and welcome to my monthly market update for November of 2022. So most of what we're seeing going on right now in the San Diego real estate market, and honestly real estate markets throughout the country, is that they're being impacted by inflation, higher inflation. Inflation peaked at 9.1% in June of this year, and it's been slowly trending downward since. But in response to these higher inflation numbers, the Federal Reserve has been aggressively raising interest rates pretty much throughout the year. So the last time the Fed met, they met at the beginning of this month, beginning of November, and they increased the interest rate, the Fed funds interest rate, by 75 basis points or 0.75%. So that was in line with the expectations, but again, the market is paying attention to the commentary on the backside of these meetings to try to figure out what's coming next and what to expect going forward so that they can bake that information into the mortgage interest rates, which obviously that's what's really impacting the housing market. And based on the Federal Reserve Chairman's comments on the backside of this meeting, his commentary was a bit uncertain. It seemed like the aggressive measures that the Fed has been taking will continue, and it will continue for an unknown period of time. And basically what they're waiting on is to see what the inflation numbers do. So on the backside of that meeting, we saw the mortgage rates spike up into the low 7% range. And it pretty much spiked immediately after the Federal Reserve Chairman released his comments. A couple weeks later, the October inflation numbers actually came out. And those numbers came out better than expected. They came in at 7.7%, which was much better than anyone expected. So in response to that, we saw the mortgage rates dip pretty much within a day or two. They went down 0.75%, and now they're sitting in the low to mid sixes. So that's some positive news for the market. Now, in response to that, we have seen maybe a slight uptick in activity, but honestly, the numbers as far as just general activity go are still down substantially. Right now, we're sitting at around 44% fewer pending homes than what we saw this time last year, and 43% fewer closings than what we saw this time last year. And then you combine that with 26% fewer new listings coming onto the market, we have once again a weird mix of lower inventory and lower demand. So what that is doing so far is we've seen price pressure continue. It's not substantial, but we are down about 11.5% from the peak of the median home value that we saw in May of this year. So we've come down 11.5%, and that puts our numbers right now, or our home values right now, pretty much right in line with the home values that we saw in January of this year. So we've pretty much eroded all appreciation that we got between January and April. We peaked in April and May, and kind of leveled out April and May at the peak, and then we started trending down, and now we're down 11.5% from that point. That being said, homes are still selling, people are still buying, people are still moving, etc. But we are seeing a little bit more activity for someone that's out there shopping. So what does this mean right now? Well, what it means, if you're a buyer and you're thinking about buying a home, once again, this is a great opportunity for new home buyers, VA home buyers, buyers that's bringing low cash, low down payments to the table, because we're getting less competition for the homes. It's giving those folks an opportunity to actually become homeowners when they wouldn't have had that opportunity in the last couple of years. The market that we saw in the last couple of years did not afford those type of buyers to get into homes. Additionally, what we're seeing are homes that need work are sitting on the market for much longer period of time if they're not priced appropriately. And this is also presenting some opportunity because as that home sits on the market a bit longer, it stales, eventually the price has to come down, and some homeowners are taking advantage of these opportunities and getting homes below the market value, and then having the opportunity to renovate and fix up those homes and move in with equity already in place in the home. So that's some good news for the market itself. Now, if you're thinking about selling the home, the message to take away from this is that the best homes are the ones that are selling the quickest for the most amount of money. So you can't just put any old home in any condition on the market and expect to get top dollar for that particular property. It makes sense, and it is worth your time, effort, and money to prepare that home properly for sale before you put it on the market so that it can garner the best possible price when you do sell that home. Now, homes are taking around a month or so on average for homes to sell. And we are seeing homes sell for close around the listed price. Some a little bit more, some a little bit less, just kind of depending on the particular listing price strategy that the listing agent used, as well as the condition of the property itself. So overall, we're seeing kind of more of the same. Inventory is sitting at 1.7 months of inventory, which is pretty much what we've seen over the last couple months. So that really hasn't changed a lot. So really the story is what will interest rates do and how will the new year impact this market? Now, we are in a holiday season and the seasonality is back into the market. So this is the time of year when we expect to see slower activity. So I'm very interested and kind of anxious to see what's going to happen in January. Because in January, we typically will see more homes come on the market and more buyers come back into the market, and activity increases as we approach the summertime. So we'll see if we see that this year and how much of an increased activity that we will see. Also, we want to keep an eye on those inflation numbers. Obviously, we're definitely trending in the right direction when it comes to inflation. And as those numbers get better, the Fed will slow down their aggressive rate hikes, which will then positively impact the mortgage market. So as all of those things take place, the end result will be where does that mortgage interest rate land? And that will help drive where the San Diego market goes. Again, we've seen quite a bit of a mortgage rates increase since January of this year. So I told you, hey, we're back at the same median home price right now as what we saw in January of this year, but the interest rate differential is over 3% different right now. So that median home price is still costing buyers that are shopping right now more than it would have cost them in January. But it does seem like the ones that are out shopping and the people that are in need of homes right now have adjusted to the new interest rates. So if we start to see those rates come down, I would expect to see buyer activity increase. And if we see those rates go up, I would expect to see buyer activity remain about the same, but prices to continue to be pressured down. So we'll see where that takes us. So that being said, if you have a particular real estate scenario or some particular questions about your particular position, whether you're thinking about buying a place or selling a place or just have questions in general, I would be more than happy to discuss your particular scenario with you and give you my recommendations and my thoughts based on my market experience and knowledge here in San Diego. So all of my contact information will be on the screen following this video, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. And again, if you have any questions, I love to talk real estate, so feel free to reach out.